Christopher.
Oh, I'll keep gaveling you. All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. It's exactly 7:30 p.m. Our first order of business is to approve the mayor and council minutes from the meeting of September 15th, 2014.
I'll move to accept as presented. I was wondering, how about the comprehensive plan thing, 17th, the next day?
That's a
About 2
different one.
days later.
That's planning commission.
Oh, then we don't do anything with that? Okay, all right, then I just,
We need a second, right, before we can discuss. I second that we approve the minutes of the mayor and council.
but we don't
As-
do anything with the comprehensive.
No, but those minutes of the mayor and council say that we're also going to approve tonight the minutes of the Marina charrette, because we deferred them at the last meeting, because we had only had them for a few minutes, really, before the meeting. So how do you want to handle that?
Why don't we approve the minutes of September 15th?
Mayor and council?
So there's a motion.
Right,
I did second it.
All those in favor?
all right.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Let the record show that we unanimously approve the minutes of September 15th, 2014. And then Liz had some comments to make.
I have one or two corrections on the minutes of the Marina charrette, which we deferred for approval tonight. The very bottom of the first page, there's a reference to 4 docks being mixed into 3, which sounds like we might end up with 7 docks. I think it should be 4 docks being replaced by 3.
What page is that?
Very bottom of the first page. At the top of page 5, the proper name of the Washington College research ship or research vessel is the Kalanectes. I'll give this to Jen for the right spelling. That's the genus name of the blue crab. And there was one other. Oh, not genius name, the genus. The Latin genus name. Oh, I think Mr. Wooten's name is spelled wrong on the same page. Jen's going to check on that. With those corrections, I move the adoption of the minutes of the Marina charrette.
So a second.
Pass that to Jen.
There's a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Let the record show that we unanimously approved the minutes of the second charrette on Chestertown Marina. Payment of the bills. First of all,
Cash on hand.
cash on hand is, total cash on hand for unrestricted use is $1,120,538.10. We also have the Washington College donation, which is assigned to rail trail, waterfront, marina activities, and recreational initiatives, minus the task force invoice for the Ayers St. Gross drawings of $3,260. So that particular fund, the assigned fund, is $196,740. So the next action item would be the payment of bills for the town of Chestertown.
Move to pay the bills as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show that we unanimously approve to pay the bills. Our third order of business is Sabine Harvey from the Chestertown Tea Party Festival.
Pretty good. So, yes, I wanted to give you a little update and about the past Tea Party Festival and then also about the future. We actually did remarkably well this past year. You know, I don't know, the weather, let's put it that way. So we are actually, we got some extra funds, which was nice because we got to give some donations to like Echo Hill and the Sultana, and other years we couldn't do that because we need to keep some money so that we can actually, like, you know, pay our insurance and all that kind of fun stuff. So, and therefore we actually we had money to apply for a grant from the Chesapeake Heritage Foundation, Stories of the Chesapeake, which you guys very kindly wrote a letter of support for, because that requires a cash match, and for the past we haven't had those funds. So that is all very good and positive news. So now for the bad news. And that is that we are down to the wire in terms of people actually organizing this festival. And we have been so for the past several years, just nobody has ever had the guts to say, whoops, we are in trouble. We are in trouble. And François can attest to this because virtually every email that comes through the website that should go to various people, PR, info, it all goes to me because there's just nobody left. And so, very, very simply put, even last year, that would not have been a Tea Party Festival if I hadn't said, okay, sure, I'll be the president of the board. And so we have about 5 people who run themselves ragged. It's just not.
The whole board has 5 people, a total of 5 people?
There's some additional people, but the people who really, carry the load, yeah, that's about 5-6 people. And those 5-6 people don't only do all the prep work, but they are also the people who will take off several days of work before the festival starts, who are, schlepping around stages and barrels and God knows whatever, and, they're there until like 1 o'clock in the morning on Friday after the block party, back on the grounds at 5:30 to help the merchants set up, still cleaning up at 7 p.m. on Saturday night from everything, and then are in Wilmore Park the next day at around 8. And that's a battle, trust me. That is, and we're not all that young, so we're the ones actually carrying all the tables and everything. So this is. This is a problem. So we sort of for the past several years, there has always been this comment, oh, we pulled it off again. Yeah, we did pull it off again, but at what cost? So there's no one, for instance, we can send out letters to the craft vendors, those we know, to get them to for the next year, but there's no one who actually goes out and actively looks for new craft vendors. So obviously that becomes a very dwindling pool then. And the same goes for the parade. Mark Mumford for years and years and years have been wanting to hand this off to somebody. We try, and then eventually it's Mark again who puts this parade together. And he does a fabulous job, but he also doesn't have time to encourage people to be be part of the parade, to look for new entries even if they were paid entries. So it just it goes downhill. And I was actually looking at the people who are on the board. Last year we actually had 2 people who didn't even live in Kent County who are on the board. And this year we finally have somebody who actually lives within town limits, but everybody else who helps organize this festival doesn't even live within Chestertown town limits. So, and a lot of people will say, well, it is because everybody is so busy and nobody has time to volunteer. And, to an extent that is true. Then on the other hand, if you see how a Harry Potter festival goes, or how other things go, there are people out there who would want to volunteer. It's just that perhaps, sadly, they don't want to volunteer to pull up the Chestertown Tea Party Festival. And so I wrote up this letter and I sent it to all the organizations who actually majorly profit from this festival, because it is not just a, hey, let's come to Chestertown kind of thing, let's put us out there, let's have other people on the other side of the bridge know about the Tea Party Festival. It's also a gigantic fundraiser for our community. I mean, I'd like to think that our local merchants, hotels, restaurants, and so forth, get a profit too from this weekend. But there's always a whole bunch of nonprofits that participate. I think last year was about 26, and so they raised a combined a little over $80,000 this year. It has been well over $100,000, but that's a lot of money. So I sent out this letter to all these nonprofits who do, get a lot of money during this festival, and I got a total of 3 responses. One person who would like to help, the Rotary, who said, well, we can't let this go away. We need to do something. We'll reach out to some people. and the Christ United Methodist Church, who said we'd like to help, but we're all very old, so we're not really sure what we can do. So I suggested that he actually organize the parade as a church. So it's an issue, and so I sent this out to the nonprofits, and before I was actually going to send this out as a press release, I figured it was only proper to let you know rather than read this in the newspaper. So we recently have had the person who is in charge of the merchants. She has elderly parents that she needs to take care of, so she can't do this anymore. And that is where we make our, well, we don't make any money, but that's where our funds come from to actually be able to finance this thing. So we're now at the point, yes, we have asked for this grant. We need to send out our letter for the merchants to register for next year. And, what do? Do we, with 5 people, send out this letter? Because if we don't, we're, we're dead, period. Or do we, and then still have nobody to pull off this festival?
What would be a good number to have that would make it easier on you? 15 to 20 people on the board?
Well, see, that's what we actually had to adjust our bylaws, because originally the bylaws said that there had to be 15 people on the board with a maximum of like 20 or 25. Well, as long as I've been part of the board, there have never been 15 people on the board. We didn't even meet our quorum anymore. So we had to change our bylaws, and we actually had to call people and say, please come, or be on the phone, so that we can actually legally change our bylaws, because we couldn't even vote on our budget anymore. If we had 10, 12 people who really did something, and then a small army of people during the day itself, it's not just the 10 people, there's so many people who make this happen throughout the year. But if those same 10 people didn't then have to also be the ones who just run themselves ragged for 3 days,
We get service hours too. We've always tried to get the high school kids to come because it's a nonprofit and you get your community service hours.
Don't show up.
And they don't show up.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, people say, well, why don't you get the football team or something or other? Yeah, and then I'll stand there and the football team will be like secure. So we have paid security, right? Because I could say, okay, well, we get the high school kids to do X, Y, and Z. God forbid they don't show up, and then, whoops, who the heck is going to do that on the morning of? Mm-hmm. So, when you get that many people coming, you need to be sure that those who need to do something actually show up and are able to do something. So.
Liz?
I don't want this to be taken the wrong way.
That's okay.
I am going to play the devil's advocate.
Yes, ma'am.
So don't misquote me. When I remember when we first came to Chestertown, 16 years ago, for the first few years I was wildly enthusiastic about Tea Party, and we'd have company come over, and more and more it's kind of become same old, same old. So first question is there something we can do to really rejuvenate, refresh, Tea Party? Second difficult question is, I think you did mention some of this, but do we have hard evidence of the benefit of Tea Party to the community? In the years when, every inch of Cross Street and High Street was covered by vendors, I remember many merchants in town complaining, it does nothing for us. Only people come in who want to use our bathroom, or they're shoplifting.
I don't think we could quantify for the merchants, but we can absolutely quantify for the nonprofits that participate.
Well, that's a good point.
This is their biggest annual fundraiser of the year. I think most nonprofits make 70% of their annual fundraising at Tea Party.
That is the main point I took from your presentation.
Sorry.
And I've run into this wearing another hat in my own nonprofit life, is that it can be difficult and it can be very discouraging when you ask the beneficiaries of all your hard work to actually pitch in and help for their own success. They turn you down.
Yes.
And that is so discouraging. But maybe you need to make such a heartfelt presentation to a gathering of those people or these.
They've pushed back in the past because each of those nonprofits, especially the ones that provide the food services for the day, provide 20 to 25 volunteers already just to man their food services and booths for that day. So trying to say, it's hard to go, it would be obvious to go to them and say, you need to provide more people to help because this is benefiting you.
More than
And they come
anything
back and
else.
say, we're already doing everything that we can. And even those nonprofits are having, like.
Yeah, no, I mean,
they're
every
having
year
trouble.
I have a bunch of churches who say, I think this is really going to be the last
Yeah.
year because we're all very old and we can't do this.
Churches are getting old.
No, seriously.
The rest of us are
And,
getting
you
younger.
know,
Guilty
and
as charged.
Like, you know, their youth groups aren't up and running and they have nobody to, you know, they've been doing this for forever. Not just the churches, but, you know, some of the civic organizations too. And then I'll actually have to hunt them down and say, okay, I need you, are you going to be part of the team? Are you going to, you know, be a food vendor? And then eventually I'll get there, yay. And so, yes, it's a struggle. I mean, you do need to think at some point, is this still something that is supported by the community? And, you know, we have toyed with all kinds of, you know, that's where the block party came from. You know, last year we started with
College
trying
is
to
out
get
by
some
The college
more
kids
colonial
are all
people
out.
around the courthouse and stuff. But once again, you do need somebody to cook it up and then somebody to actually, you know, put it into place. And if there's just nobody there, it becomes a little difficult. So, I mean, we've tried with moving to Lower Park. I mean, we have spent so many hours on
I'm
all
sure you
kinds
have.
of-
And believe me, I'm very sympathetic.
So, no, but I mean, your points are well taken. So.
But I'm just saying, you know, it's my experience, anyway, is
It's so funny because we have, there's 50-50 on, we want the Tea Party to be exactly the same, and the other 50% of the community tells us we want something different every year. And it is, and unfortunately, bringing in new volunteers to help is the way that it's going to change.
Yep.
So, you know, my response to people was, well, I'll see you at the next meeting. Right.
I would say, I think it's short-sighted, honestly, for the vendors to say that it doesn't benefit them, because people that come to that come back later. That was
I'd like to
my
think
first
so,
day in
yes.
Chestertown, was the Tea Party,
Me
and
too,
I
me
might
too.
not have gone in.
stumbled on it.
That's what we
And-
need to do. You could be mayor of Chestertown.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the way, I don't know if that's the best way to go, but I think it's a huge benefit to the community and the county, and I think the county Department of Tourism would tell you, it's the biggest weekend in the county, period. And there's some other events that are close, but we've got to keep it going. I mean, and people just need to step up, and I guess this is your big
Like, cry for
APB.
help, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, really, I mean, at some point, you just gotta stand there and say, okay, you know, people better step up to the plate, because we just can't. Yes. I mean, I can only have so many sleepless nights, you know, and if you start in September, that's not just a great sign. So,
Well, do we need to step up and help?
I mean, it sounds like they just need bodies to
Yep.
be at the meetings.
It need committed people.
Most of the people, I assume, I know I work in a booth, you know. And,
yeah. There's only
believe
so
it or
many
not,
of
I'm
us,
one of these
right?
people who've gotten older too, so I don't put as many hours in as I used to, because I plain get tired, but
Yeah.
they need every body they can get in the booth that I'm associated with.
Oh, the meetings are every second Wednesday of the month in the visitor center at
And they're
6:30. Oh, yeah, please do. You know, have at it. And sign up for a task too, that would be nice. But, yeah, so it's, you know, we're not going to get new people if I just let it linger and just, you know, try to recruit new people. And trust me, every single person who knows me at this point has been asked, would you please be on the board? So I have,
It might, I wonder if it would be helpful, I don't know, you may have this already, if you had like almost like a spreadsheet of
I do.
categories where you need help, and you could put that, maybe we could put that on the town's
Oh,
website.
well, we could, yes. I mean, that's the thing. I have the exact tasks, you know, that we need
Right.
people for. I have descriptions of the tasks. I have timelines of the tasks. It's all there. It's not nuclear science. It's just a lot of grunt work.
Is the raft race part of the board's planning efforts? Because I know that's kind of it's part of it.
Yes, well, it will be taken over. Jen Demerit has done it for years, and
It's still under the canopy.
Right.
Just like the run is also.
right. And Kate Libby's sister, Megan, will actually take over organizing the raft race next year.
So that'll be in good hands.
So they do their own thing, they get it done, but it's all like, the advertising, everything.
So I think a lot of people in the community would be very surprised to know how dire the situation is on
Yes.
making sure this event happens every year. So maybe the gentleman opposite me on the other side of the room could publicize this, but I'm wondering if you have the funds, or we could help with maybe taking out a full-page ad in the local papers, let people know that, we're really in a hard spot here and we need some new help.
It sounds like you need 10 to 15 people that are willing to do stuff.
Yes,
Like now.
like instantly.
Right.
Hit the ground running. And then
Well, I had a lot of people tell me if I ran for mayor, they would step up and help out. So if you're watching, step up.
So, and we just need people, to some extent, if you don't want to be involved for the whole year, that's fine. We just need people, to carry tables at 5:30 in the morning or
I
midnight.
think it's important, though, to know that those nonprofits, as you talk about, that money goes back into the community.
Absolutely. It's true.
I mean, I know for the Optimist Club, there's a lot of kids that have a uniform that would never have a uniform. They never have cleats, they never have. We
Right.
support the youth of the county, and we put back close to $10,000 a
Right.
year.
So the
So it is going back
$80,000
into the
right.
community.
The $80,000 that was raised this year, all that money either goes to mortgages of churches or other buildings, it goes to sponsor other community events that bring in people from outside, and it goes to a whole heck of a lot of scholarships and educational activities. So that would be $80,000.
And the tasks, other than the day of events where we actually need lots of volunteers, the tasks themselves are not heavy lifting. I mean, literally send letters out.
It's a lot of
track
organizing.
back to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Track payments, track all this sort of administrative kind of work that just needs somebody
In
and
charge,
lots of people
yeah.
who can watch all these little details that are all.
Obviously things have changed, right, from like 10 years ago in terms of social media. So, do more on Facebook, do more on Twitter, do more advertising, actively recruit new merchants, actively recruit new people for the parade, do a lot of PR. I mean, at some point you just spread so thin, there's only so much
Right.
you can do, and then if we have only a few people, then obviously all the tasks get put off and, things get late, so then eventually we are in a bind in terms of advertising, because if you don't have your ducks in a row, it becomes a little hard to actually promote what you would like to promote.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't look at the website this year, but I remember the website last year was not updated.
I know.
Up to almost the week before the event.
And
that was very discouraging.
And that is not because of Françoise, and it's
Yeah.
not because of me.
Yeah, if the schedule isn't ready, then we can't put up any information.
Yeah.
And what am I going to do? Say to my volunteers, you're fired, or yell at them?
So when are your meetings?
We are meeting this coming Wednesday.
Second Wednesday.
Second Wednesday of the month.
At the
6:30
Visitor Center?
At the Visitor Center. Yep.
I would think the 8 or 10 people who watch this program on the camera,
Yes.
we might be able to get one of those. So.
Right.
So how can people get in touch with you if they are interested?
They can go to the Tea Party website, so if you just simply Google Tea Party Festival, there's a whole slew of people there. It
So-
really doesn't matter, whoever they want.
So if they go to your website, the email links for you, like
Yes,
you
they're
personally?
all
or-
there.
Okay.
So, and then I have a feeling a lot of people have my email address as it is, or you just Google Sabine,
Yeah, yeah.
A few years ago, when times were leaner for the Tea Party, they stopped having the second day's event. Is that easier, or does it have key things in it?
Oh, I thought about like, well, let's not do the block party, but the block party is actually like one of the fundraisers, right? So, and I think most of our profit actually this year came from the Sunday.
Sunday,
So-
okay, so Sunday's not as tough a day for volunteers as Saturday.
No, you get to pour beer, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
But, but then of course, you sit there in the sun for like 4 or 5 hours, pouring beer, and then I get to clean it up again, and I have to look at my poor husband and say, would you please come and, let's haul 10 more tables to storage. So
Right.
it would be nice,
How about, you call them your merchant, but your vendors will say, do they return automatically, or have they lessened, or?
Yes, they have. Like I said, nobody's actively recruiting new vendors.
Right,
So that is why, to some extent, there's, you see less people in the roads because, once again, we just don't have the manpower on the day of itself, right? Those people who already been working behind the scenes and who know how things are going, they're also, like the emergency people, the people dealing with God knows whatever. So we're running around like chickens with our heads cut off, and for all kinds of little issues that come up. But what we really need is a little army of people. Let's face it, the merchants really are the ones who are financing the festival. So we really need some nice people who can go make eye contact with each and every one of the merchants, thank them for being there, give them the registration forms for next year, make sure they have paper bags, ask them how they're doing, and none of that happens. So they have no contact with anyone because we don't have anyone to actually be nice and polite to them. So, and if other festivals do have that, guess what? They're going to go somewhere else because they just say, at other festivals, better organized, more people, better. So they leave. And plus, of course, some of those people who have been coming for like 20 years, they have, because there's less merchants, slowly but steadily, well, I'm sure also because of the economy, they've seen their income at the weekend go down, so eventually they're going to say, well, is this still worth it to me? It's this nice, vicious
I wouldn't mind attending a couple of meetings as a liaison to see what some of the problems are and how we can help, either on our website or with our outreach, or we try to help a lot with our police force and our cleanup and all, but I see you have problems, and I don't mind, I would think your little presentation tonight, I hope, will do some good. I mean, we have our 2 newspapers, and maybe they can help you out. Have you thought of conscription, or having a draft that we just at random give people in town a number? This happened to me during Vietnam, and seriously, if you're under 131, you're on.
I'm sure that will go over really,
Okay, well, I guess that was it seemed like a bad idea to me at the time, too.
I can already see myself chasing all those drafted people. That'll be a fun
All right,
bunch.
it's my idea.
Selective service.
Just tell me it's my, it's
Service
mine.
board.
Forget it.
Well, keep us posted and let us know if you still need help
Maybe we
in
can get
2
a break on
months.
our
If
property
we haven't seen
taxes
any
if we
significant
volunteer.
bump, then maybe we can brainstorm creative ways to recruit more people.
Well,
And
no,
I want to say, I thought the Tea Party this year was great.
it was.
I thought it was one of the best
Beautiful.
I've been to in a while, and,
The block party was a good addition. That was a lot of fun.
Yes.
but I could see that you in particular, but everybody was working extremely hard. So thank you, and
I would like for there to be like a crew on Friday night, right? So that eventually I can go to bed, so that when
Come
I get
on.
there at 5:30, I have a little bit more than 3 hours of sleep, right?
Yeah.
And that maybe there's like a separate crew for the Sunday, so it's not the same people. And I mean, I have to mention somebody in particular, Butch Clark, I'm sure you
Oh
guys
my
all
gosh,
know.
yes.
I mean, he's going to get a heart attack one of these days during Tea Party Festival.
Or all the other things that he did.
Yes. So I don't know how he does it, but, we all on the board fear for his life during those days.
Maybe you should have a life
Yes, we
insurance
do.
policy. Which class?
So,
Well, we
and I
just,
mean, we just need more people. That's simple.
We just finished with the Battle of Cox Field too,
Yes.
and I was on that committee, so, of course, Marilyn is leaving town in a couple of days, I think, but if we've got the contacts for the people who came, the vendors who came there to the Battle of Cox Field, I can get that, hopefully. And maybe we can find some new people in there.
That would be great.
And we've got a Tea Party has a very extensive database, and we've always shared the information. If there have been other festivals that come up that are looking for colonial merchants, we've always shared that information. It's always been available. So we're very open
I
to
don't
reciprocating.
The Battle of Cox Field vendors, because we're just so exhausted. It's like, stare at the darn thing anymore. But yes, but usually when people ask for information.
Well, thank you very much, and keep us posted,
I will do
please.
so.
All right,
Thank you for your time.
all right, thank you.
Good to see you.
We only communicate via email.
We do. Never see each other.
Hey, Sabine,
Yes.
Jim's trying to hand you a card.
Did they just volunteer to do stuff? Instant gratification. Okay, our next order of business is Francois Sullivan. She's going to give us an update on the revamped Chestertown website that she's been working on.
I just have some quick notes, and then I'll show you where I am in the design process. It's broken into 4 phases that we talked about in the proposal, and the first phase, of course, was prep work where I met with town staff to talk about content and information exchange for the website, and I think we've made some good progress on that. I have a lot of information that I've gleaned from the current website, plus speaking with Jen and Sam and Case and Chris and other people from the staff. We figured out a good way to strategize getting new information up and how to represent the local government. I also spoke with the tourism office and spoke with Bernadette and Jen and Michelle there, and they're excited about the process. They're in the middle of their own process as well, getting the Kent County website up. And I'm going to be strategizing with their sysadmin person, Jason, to kind of talk about how we're going to move forward with creating a sort of universal calendar as well as a universal event schedule, so that we can present it to all the other towns that are interested in having that on their site, as well as making sure that our businesses and townspeople aren't entering the same data 100 different ways on 5 different websites. So we're hoping to consolidate all that information. And I'm still gathering content for the website, so you'll see some stuff, but it's not all there yet. But let me give you a sneak peek at what I have so far.
This one is the one, Francois, behind you.
Under it, maybe.
There you go.
And this all worked earlier today.
That's no guarantee.
See if the spirit moves us.
There we go.
So this is the home page, and you can see it has sort of an opening sequence with beautiful aerial picture of Chestertown that can be updated easily. I've dropped in a promo video from when MPT did our town, because it's a really nice introduction to Chestertown, I think, but we can put in other promo pieces. It could be a slider of images, it could promote an upcoming event. The what's happening is going to be any public events that people input and are listed. Announcements is an area where you can click on the announcement, and that's going to be something that Jen or somebody on staff can update with. These are things that people are often asking for and want to find quickly and want to sign up for. The popular pages is links to pages, and it is going to be populated by the pages that people go to most often. So instead of us saying what we think the popular pages will be and what the quick links should be. This will actually show the pages that people are most often going to, so we can kind of keep track of that. We've got our Facebook link here, and at the footer of the page we have an address for the town hall with an email address, a really nice quote from Anna Cole from Scotty's. And right now I just dropped in the DCA Instagram feed, but when we have our own Instagram feed up, we can have all of our cool pictures up there. We broke down, after talking to Sam and Chris, we talked about how we wanted this to be used as a tool, not just for our residents and the government, but also as a tool to bring tourists to the area and make it something easy for visitors to use. So we've broken it up into a couple different areas, one for residents, businesses, visitors. Upcoming events would be, again, the same events calendar. Explore Chestertown, which is a super cool Google Street View map that I'll show you in a minute. Government, this will have all the different departments. Report an issue, and this is going to be a ticket tracking system that we have where you can submit a ticket that is, it can be anonymous, it can be submitted with your name and an email address, and it will go to whichever department it needs to go to, and this can be updated as needed and changed to reflect the responses that we get to it.
Can we ask questions as we go?
Yes, please.
So if I put in there, as I would have done a week ago, water main break in front of my house on High Street,
Yes.
how would I know that somebody would it go to somebody right away, urgently,
It will
or?
go to, probably most likely to Jen, and Jen will disseminate the information to who it needs to go to. It could be, I could set it up so that if it is I kind of like the idea though of somebody here being in control of the information getting out so that there isn't ever somebody saying they didn't get an email. We have a way to kind of track it. So it would go through here and then go to whichever utility it needed to go to.
Well, that's okay, except for weekend emergencies. So something like water and sewer could be set up so it goes to Jen and Bob, so if Bob's picking it up at home, and police could go to Jen and Adrian, so that it's picked up at one of two places
Yeah.
for emergencies. They're way different than, I told you about those leaves on my lawn and nobody came,
Right,
Bill.
or on my neighbor's
I think they're all gonna come to me anyway.
But we could probably set that through the phone, and then I'll be able to get right on there if it's something major
Right.
and update it,
Whatever.
or get to Francois.
And there was a lot of talk about making sure that like when you're on the homepage and you're looking at the upcoming events, and this is something that I think Sam and I talked about a lot, was most visitors, as much as we'd love that there's a Marion town council meeting, most visitors aren't going to come to the 7:30 Monday night town council meeting, but they do want to know what's going on the weekend. So the information that would be about government meetings and utility meetings and services will be housed on a sort of an at-a-glance community calendar, which includes all of the events, but it also includes all your government meetings and when the NBA bus is going to be in town, when recycling pickup is, when garbage disposal is, so it'll be very easy to go and look at a month at a time and see all of that. We're going to have as many forms and permits as we possibly can will be housed on here and updated as needed, and we'll be able to track how often things are downloaded. And hopefully, I'm going to choose a directory that will break it up into different categories, so it'll be easy for people to find. I'm not sure that I'm going to stick with this directory. And then for businesses, we want to encourage businesses to come here. We want to make it easy for them to find information on starting a business in Chestertown. And visitors, we came up with some kind of good categories, I think, that it's not just going to be restaurants and lodging. We want to make it more of an event. So this is an area that can be for the brides, and we'll have a directory, plus we can show images of weddings in the town, for foodies, instead of having it be for, a list of restaurants, it could have all of our local growers and resources, like the Chesapeake Wine Trail and the Natural Food Store and the Farmers Market. So anything food related could be in there, instead of just being a yellow pages essentially of restaurants. Upcoming events will also have a listing of our annual festivals. And I tried to find video for each of the festival, because I think as much as you like to read about what things are, you get more of a flavor for it if you can actually see it, especially the music. I think if you can hear the music at the music festival, you're going to be a lot more interested than reading that there's great music at the music festival. But like I said, it's still a work in progress. I'll show you the Explore Chestertown that we all enjoyed earlier today. This is a street view from Google Maps of Chestertown. So you can actually
that's cool.
You can drive
walk
along
through
this
town if you want.
Nice.
And I also included, because we have such a large Hispanic population, but we also have lots of international students at the college, and we have some Canadians. Translation key, so that the whole site can be converted into Spanish,
Wow. Chestertown.
French, or German, and Italian. I just picked 5 to keep it simple, but we can have as many languages as we like. And then back to our standard British.
British?
Yeah, it doesn't have an American flag. It doesn't.
Is it on British spelling? Colonial times.
But that's where I am so far.
Oh, it's lovely. Bravo.
Thank you. Pretty happy with how it's turning out. I think Sam was very happy.
yeah.
Sam had some great suggestions and ideas, and I hope I incorporated
Oh, definitely.
everything.
Can you talk about the Instagram feed again?
Yeah,
So when you
that
scroll
is-
down, is that just pictures that we upload of the town? Basically, it's like a photo album.
It is, yeah, and what DCA, Kristen's really good about making sure that there are captions for everything,
Yeah,
and I
right.
think that that's important. It's nice to have the cool pictures, but it's nice from a visitor standpoint, like, I don't know what that is unless I read the caption.
So could we have like an infinite number of pictures there? Or does it get like
Yes.
too big of a file if you
I
have
think that
more than?
well, you also think of the attention span of the visitor. They're not going to
Yeah,
stick
yeah.
around for more than so many cycles. So I think this feed in particular holds 20 images, up to 20 images. And it'll take the top 20, or you can randomize it. But I think the top 20 is the way to go, because will have the most recent feed.
So I guess the next project is going to be making our own Instagram feed that the town manages.
Yeah, that would be great.
And I mean, the nice thing with that is it'll be just a matter of collecting pictures, essentially. So you mentioned you were willing to donate your entire photo album. And I know with Facebook you can automate posting. Can you do that with Instagram as well?
I think you can, so that you always have the latest pictures or
Right,
something
right,
new
right,
coming
right.
up. Mhm.
So that will be really easy, and that almost, as long as we keep the captions going, and just like the DCA does, I mean, that's just perfect.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's talk about just the synergy we have with this website and Washington College's website. I loved your addition of the signature in historic, because if you log right to the Washington College website, you'll see the George Washington signature front and center. We've got one recent change was changing it to maroon and black, and of course, which is the college's colors. So I mean, both of us talk about each other very respectfully. You know, the college always says in their print literature that we're located in historic Chestertown, and with us, we always make reference to Washington College. But now we truly have synergy between both the town and the college, and
The very first line on the Washington College website, if you go to About Us, and I just grabbed their text so it would have some content, is it's hard to separate who we are from where we are. And I think that tells you how the college feels about Chestertown and how we
So
should think
is
about it as well.
there a button on one of those drop-down menus that goes right to the college's?
No, but
site?
I can have it go. I have a,
Under visitors.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, the Washington College one takes you to this page, and I'll have a button on this page that takes you to the website. Like if you go to Arts and Culture, I have our big nonprofit organizations, and they all link to those pages. And then there'll be directories that are specific to each sort of section.
So will there be like gallery listings under
Yes.
there? And
So the arts directory will take you to a directory that has all of the galleries and artists and
Sony,
studios and
Hegland,
everything.
yeah, River Arts. River Arts is there. Sam, a big issue for you was compatibility with mobile platforms. How is that looking?
It looks pretty good.
There's a lot of space on the top that I need to fix.
Yeah, and then
All
on the
that white
bottom,
space?
with that, the black box where the Instagram feed is, the Google Map and the Instagram, they're overlapping on my iPad.
Okay.
So it's really just comes down to the spacing, and then there's an awkward like little glitch where the menu kind of superimposes
and
itself.
disappears. Yeah.
Right.
So I can tell it when to recognize that, like I can tell it the pixel size to recognize that, and now it thinks, because I've made the window smaller, it's sort of mimicking how it would look on a tablet or on a phone, and
Right.
it changes the menu bar. to
Yeah, and
this
that
kind of a
menu bar
drop-down.
just slides in without you actually pressing that.
So that's a lot of white space there.
Yeah, it is. But also, I'm going to tighten that up, but think about how when you're looking at it on a phone, when you're looking at it, you have a lot more height.
Right.
But yeah, I need to get rid of a lot of this white space underneath. And it just puts everything in kind of this big, long,
Oh, I see.
Single column.
I see,
Right.
yeah.
If you maximize that and then just scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's this awkward, just like that white strip where the Facebook button and the YouTube. Can we get rid of that white strip so when you scroll all the way down, you're just hitting that
This
black
part
space? No, go all the way down.
Oh, down at the bottom?
Yeah.
Yep, I can move that.
Mhm.
Or even, yeah, I can get rid of the whole thing.
Can we get some pictures other than the taco truck?
It's a segue thing.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, I mean, that's going to change once we get our
No, I
incident.
understand, I'm joking.
And I mean, the really great thing about a website like this is we can then launch so many initiatives off this. So I know tourism and promoting ourselves and actually getting ourselves out there in the digital world, all that becomes much easier when you have a landing page like this that can engage people instantly. And then you have, because I mean, what you want to do is you want to keep them engaged. If they come to Tea Party and visit, they enjoy themselves, they're going to log on and try and maybe read some more information, but then when they come onto a landing page like this and they see all the other forms of engagement that they can do, that's how you get that additional like on your Facebook page. That's how you get that additional follower on your Instagram. And once you have those people, you've got them, and you can constantly market to them since they're now actively
They're
following you.
engaged, yeah.
But all of that doesn't start until you have something like this.
I would say along those lines, my one aesthetic suggestion, and it kind of goes into the short attention span theater of the typical user, is it would be cool if we had like maybe 5 rotating images.
And we can do that instead of where the video is?
No.
No, I mean,
Oh, you mean
The-
the header?
right where-
Yeah. I
so
can-
maybe you have that, which I really like that, and maybe there's one of like the tall ships lined up on the docks, and there's one of Washington College, and there's one of like
Yeah,
a Tea Party scene, and one of like a bunch of people on High Street in front of a
Town hall.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but I think it should only be, every time you log on, it's a different page. I don't think it should be cycling through, because if you do that, you have too many things moving on the screen, because you have your announcements that are moving, you have your Instagram feed at the bottom of the page that's cycling through. So I guess every time you log on, it can be a different page, but it's not just cycling through like a gallery. Because I think if we do that, that'll be a little bit too distracting. There'll be too many moving parts. And then it's just ADD going on in front of you.
Is it possible for you to share privately the link to the unpublished website with us so that we can sort of drill down into it and
Absolutely.
maybe provide some comments? I mean, I don't know if that's
Sure.
appropriate.
Are you
or
ready?
not.
Do you-
I'll send it to Sam. and-
Are you ready for that, or would you rather wait a week or two?
No, I'm ready for that. I'm
Okay.
ready for that.
I think you got a great start on this, and
It's fabulous.
I am excited about
Cool.
it. I think we met and it kind of all just jumped off and it's coming
And we
together
need it.
beautifully.
Yeah.
Do.
Can you make payments?
Can I make what?
Can you make payments on it? Yeah.
Not yet, and we sort of talked about that, but it's very easy to incorporate a way to make payments. What we need to do is make sure that the administrative side is taken care of. If somebody's paying for their parking ticket or paying a utility, we need to make sure that those services are able to process it. I can set it up easily and have it go to whomever, but they need to be prepared to handle it in a digital way. I could set it up as PayPal, I could
Do you
set it
have
up.
PayPal?
I mean, I've used PayPal, but we
A
don't
lot of
have it
people
here
won't
in
use it.
town.
Not yet.
You just
Not
need to be
yet.
able to accept credit cards.
Yeah, which is
And-
something that we've been looking at.
Go
You don't want
through-
PayPal.
Go through your bank.
I won't use it.
Most banks now have their own shopping cart systems
Right.
that are private, easy to get to, seamless, and you can make whatever payments you want. But it's the functionality is easy for me to create. It's making sure that there's an administrative back end that's processing it. And as long as there's that, yeah, I can set up.
Oh, I had one more comment. You had the request brochure under the visitors tab. I really want to track that data
Okay.
and see exactly where these people are
Oh, where they're,
requesting
okay.
brochures, because that could really shed some light
Yeah.
on our
Market.
marketing campaign.
Where people are checking in. There's, Bernadette asked us to have that go directly to the tourism office. I could ask them to make sure that, well, no, I'll just create a database for it and be
Yeah,
able to print out.
that would be perfect.
Totally do that.
Lovely.
Yeah, this is just, I'm in love.
The government page is going to be
He's just
familiar.
excited 'cause he's engaged.
I mean, that too.
All
The government page will be familiar to those of us who use it, on a nearly
Well,
daily
it's,
basis.
even that's kind of exciting,
Yeah.
because Jen was telling me that you downloaded years of the history.
I downloaded over 800 files of minutes back from
grief.
like 1967 or something. And I'm going to run text recognition on it so that all those documents will be searchable.
Some people find that interesting, to be able to go back and
It's
find out what we said we were going to do
I
in
looked at the very
1975 and still haven't done.
It was interesting when I was scanning it. I was like, gee, people were still complaining about that 100 years ago.
Station, they called it, there's no comfort station.
Can you actually can you go to the mayor and town council site under the government page?
Sure.
I don't want to see that page.
There, look,
I look fine. I look good.
One thing she did was she put all of our Facebook pages right on
Oh,
the.
no.
So
Whoa.
keep that in mind.
I put my
Okay.
1965 picture in there, it's great.
Do we all have Facebook pages?
I was so proud.
Does Marty have a
She found- Marty has a Facebook page.
Oh, my gosh.
He does.
He even had his ice bucket challenge posted up there too.
That'll be there till
Oh.
the is over.
So make sure.
Oh, gosh. No more political
That may be
statements
a
on my
bridge too far.
Facebook
That's a
page.
bridge too
I
far.
don't know why you're surprised I have a Facebook.
I'm just thrilled when I get an email from you.
Each time.
But did you notice that pretty much everybody's redone their website now in the county. Rockwall's in the process. Galena has theirs, and Millington quietly launched their new website. Or
But
maybe they announced
really-
it in the paper. I didn't read it, but and theirs looks pretty good too.
I
So
haven't seen it, but
yeah, definitely check out Millington's. They have a
some of them went with companies that I reviewed when we were looking at all the bids.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be interested to see
Right,
the results,
right.
because
This
they're
is by
really
far the
pro
best.
forma companies that so-called specialize in, government websites,
Right.
and they all look very bureaucratic. I love this. I think this has a real local flavor. It really gives a sense of who we are here.
Exactly.
Tried to really give it personality, and like I mentioned earlier, I kind of looked at it through the eyes of, we've lived here for 12 years, so I'm a resident, but I'm still getting to know things, and I was a visitor, like Chris, and what things did I look for when I came to visit. So I'm straddling that line and trying to keep it useful for residents and entertaining for visitors.
Where did you get the aerial shot?
Case has a bunch of aerial shots on
Really?
the Chestertown Facebook page from
Tyler Buckley?
Yeah, Tyler
Tyler.
Yeah.
That's great.
Campbell, yeah.
So, and I have a photo credit for him in the photo.
I hope so,
Very
yes.
generous with
He
his
is very.
pictures.
All right, so I guess the next step would be for us to go on and play around and
Yeah,
give you
take a look.
comments, and we can
That's
just keep
the next-
chugging ahead.
That's the beta testing, sort of take a look around, see, you know, it could be that we consolidate some pages, it could be that we break some pages up. There could be data that you think needs to be there or doesn't need to be there, that is on the current site or not on the current site. So, yeah, I'll send Sam the guest login, so you guys can log in and
Great.
take a look around.
Well, thank you so much, this is really exciting.
It is.
Are we thinking maybe January 2015?
We had talked about a January rollout. I mean, there's the potential that we could have enough content up to do it before then, but that's kind of our guiding star is January.
Great. All right, well, we will do our part. Thank you so much.
Are we going to keep the URL as town at Chestertown, or are we going to go back to chestertown.com?
Well, once we have control over the chestertown.com domain,
Okay.
both of them will point to the same website, so
Okay.
we can use both. And I've also looked into what hoops you need to jump to become a .gov. And it's not impossible, but it has to be, the process has to start through a legal department. So you have to prove that you are the legal representative of the town of Chestertown, and it can be done.
That shouldn't be hard.
We're not losing anything by not being a .gov.
Yeah.
It's just that if I were looking as a visitor, I mean, I would, before I did even a Google search, I'd probably just type in
Chestertown,
chestertown.gov,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
because I would assume that would be it.
Somebody might already have it. And they don't. So nobody
Chris,
has
with your
Chestertown.gov,
sign study,
so-
we might want to incorporate
Yeah,
this
some
as like
of those
our
cards.
logo now, you
Yeah.
know, the signature historic
Good
Chestertown.
idea.
You might use, copyright that, you mean?
We should,
Yeah.
we should. And even welcome signs that say welcome to
There's a Chestertown, New
historic."
York.
There's
And
a
if you go
Chestertown.
on the farmer's market and put Chestertown, and, because I think
It comes
the
up all the
person,
time when I.
yeah, the person who does the website for the farmer's market
Nancy.
emphasizes, yeah,
Mhm.
Nancy, that you have to put in Chestertown, Maryland.
Yeah, I'm hoping to fold in the farmer's market site here.
Yeah,
So we
that
have
would be good.
consistency of the product. And I've talked to Nancy about that, and she's excited about the idea. I don't think I have anything else for her right now.
That's wonderful.
All right, well, I think the next step is for us to go on, play around, and give our feedback and keep the ball moving.
Perfect.
And Sam, will you continue to be the point person?
So yeah, if you have any comments, just CC me if you're going to send them directly to Francois or send them directly to me and I'll forward them along. But, Francois. Francois. So, yeah.
That's on the French translation, when you put it on there, it comes
It's
up.
just always been in French now.
Yeah, this is beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Excited to be
Ce qui se
working with all
passe.
of you.
Bienvenue à Chestertown.
Bienvenue à
It should say
Chestertown.
Chestertown historique.
All right, guys, are we ready to move on?
Thank
Do you
you.
need
All right,
this
we're kicking you out.
anymore, or You want me to shut it down?
Yeah.
I just like looking at it.
All right,
Happy birthday, Chris.
thank you.
Said you were gonna sing it.
No, I'm waiting.
Don't. All right, item number 5, town manager's reports.
Okay, the first thing I have here is the Kevin Taylor's request for a homecoming parade, KCHS. Hosts the annual Kent County High School homecoming parade down High Street, line up at Dixon Drive at 9 a.m., followed by the parade at 10 a.m. Requesting a police patrol traffic at intersections across High Street and ask police to lead the parade. Parade route shall start at Dixon Drive and end past Monument Park. Vehicles in the parade include wagons, floats, trucks, cars, and county emergency vehicles. Okay to sign? Did we say the
By the way.
date? Yeah.
We have anything else going on that day, do you know?
Did he write the date on here?
Yeah, it's
October 11th.
September,
October 11th. Is
It's at the
this-
bottom.
Saturday, this Saturday.
October 11th.
This
Nice
Saturday.
to have it up in there. Okay.
There's something on October 11th.
Fine with the council?
It's Rock Hall's Fall Fest.
Not it.
Okay with everybody?
Oh, I know, it's the Manassas. It's a fundraiser for the music
There you go,
festival.
Jen.
Thank you.
MDOT visit to Kent County. I don't think any other council were there. I took it as an opportunity, actually, I didn't know about the bridge closing, but I took it as an opportunity to talk to Melinda Peterson, the administrator for the SHA, about an easement that's holding up progress on the Gateway Park. It's a historic easement from 1951 when they took the bend out of Route 20. And it's archaic and it's completely extinguished, but you know, it's been sort of a holdup by the SHA. She seemed very in tune to what I was saying and put some people that were there with her on it. So I will follow up. I guess that was a couple weeks ago. I will follow up with her this week and see where that stands. Open Meeting Compliance Board, September 29th. A little later, the mayor will read a statement about that. I have been sending emails back and forth in regard to the procedures. I would characterize the decision of the Open Meetings Board sort of in this way, that when we read a public announcement, as they state in section 10.502 of their act, that it's not an admission of the public body to a violation of the provision of their subtitle. The town of Chestertown submitted detailed information to the Open Meetings Compliance Board, including sealed copies of the executive minutes of December 16, 2013 and June 16, 2014 to them so that they could compare the closing statements and ultimate summaries to the actual minutes of the meetings. We accept their findings for what they are, technical in nature, and we use them to further improve our process when the necessity arrives for an executive session. And guess what? It arrived today. So before I go into that, I would like to distribute
I've got
this.
one.
I sent this out earlier today. This is the most recent statement from the Open Meetings Compliance Board, literally from October 1st. And what I've done here is there are 14 statutory ways for closing a session. And 1 through 14, of the 14, there are really only 5 that we use 99% of the time. One is to discuss personnel, the hiring and firing of individuals, or performance evaluations or whatever. Number 3 you'll read, and I have put acquisition of real property in bold, because guess what? The sale of property you can't close a session to sell property. It has to be to buy. But government after government trips over this and thinking they're talking about acquiring or selling property. Number 3, they gigged us on this, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice on a legal matter. Well, that's fine, except that if your counsel isn't there, it's number 8, to consult with staff, consultants, and other individuals about pending or potential litigation. Ergo, if you want to talk about a legal matter that's not pending litigation and there's not an attorney there, you don't do it. So, but it's an easy mistake to make, to check the wrong block. That actually happened. And the last one is contract awards, when you're talking about a contract or awarding a contract. And so the policy changes that I would recommend that maybe you pass next time is that when a council person knows in advance that they want to have an executive session, that they fill this out and present it to the mayor or to Jen. They mark what they believe the meeting is about, and on the very next page at the top, they put the number in on the first line, and they say what it's about. If it's about acquisition or it's about a potential lawsuit, and then we place it on the agenda. So that gives everybody enough time to make sure the form is right, the citation is right, and that way we won't have these small matters, technical, that I feel are technical in nature, coming up over and over and over again. Very hard to get this right. I think between number 7 and number 8, that most towns could get that wrong the first time. You think, okay, we're talking about a legal matter. You know, oh, but you don't have your attorney with you, so it's got to be a potential litigation. With that all being said, I'm not asking you to pass anything tonight. I just want sort of an idea from the council whether you want to proceed this way. You want me to come back with just a brief policy recommendation. I guess we'll do it by resolution that we do this. And I think that'll further protect us from what I'll call Mickey Mouse stuff, but it is very important to somebody.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
So first question is, does a closed session of the mayor and council necessarily have to follow immediately a mayor and council meeting?
It's best to do that.
Can it be held like any other time?
I can't
imagine why you would.
It's not easy. In the times where we've had an emergency and that's come up, I've alerted the media that we don't feel like we have any other choice and that the potential of a $100 fine someday is outweighed by the necessity or the emergency of nature of the executive session. So that's probably only happened maybe once in the last few years. Secondly, I recommend that we not have them unless we really have to. And I never really have wanted to have them for any other than that because people are suspicious of closed sessions. Yes.
Question is, what is the definition for each, at the very top of the second page, for each citation checked above?
Yep.
What is the citation? Any one of these 14
yes, 1
things?
through 14.
So it's really the statutory authority.
All it is that first, the reasons for closing are a number that goes in that parentheses. That's the reason.
The reason and the topics?
No, the topic's different. So the reason would be, let's
say acquisition of property, number 3.
You put in 3.
And then I would write in the specifics?
Nope. I mean, you would talk about the acquisition of a property without, let me see, without giving away.
In other words, does this become public?
Like, for example, tonight, when we close session, I'm going to write, and it's more than I want to write, possible acquisition of police building site, okay? I'm not specific about who owns it or
the address or...
Yeah, and I really think that's too much. I'd rather have that in the statement after your meeting where you make a motion and you say we're deciding something like that. But, I mean, it's a fine line. You want to say as much as you can without... You know, if it's personnel, you don't want to say, we're having a meeting about this assistant to the police chief, because then everybody's going to say, oh my gosh, that person's really in trouble. And I don't, that's probably not necessarily what it's about.
So, but under what circumstances would I fill in more than one line? Why would I have more than one reason?
If you have more than one site. If you have, say you say, I want to meet on a legal matter, and I also want to meet on a acquisition matter.
So I wouldn't fill in 2 different?
Yes, you would. You would check 2 spots, and you would fill out 2 lines.
Okay. So you could have a closed meeting, an executive session for more than one matter?
Yes.
Okay.
And would happen probably because you would save them up till you made sure you closed correctly.
Okay. All right.
Defined it. So that's what I'm going to do a little bit later. I've already named one, I'm going to name the other. But this form, I think, is almost foolproof.
Looks good to me.
And well, what do we need to do to adopt this form?
I'll bring it back in the form of a resolution.
Okay.
And I think
at our next meeting,
we'll send that to the compliance board along with what you're going to read later.
What is squiggly 3305B? Is that the State Open Meetings Act?
That's...
You'll bring it back later.
3305B.
Yeah, what is that? Is that the reference to the...
Where? What are you talking about?
Well, all over here,
yes.
here and down here.
Those are the rereferences
to the state.
that precede this. See at the top of the statutory authority?
Gotcha.
3305B. They're just making it, and that's what they put that in there.
Okay.
You're going to bring it back as a resolution, but we're going to use it for tonight's meeting.
Yes, because it's a state-approved form that I've adapted a little bit to us and made it easier to understand what you're about to do.
Okay.
Not that I think that we have really closely followed the intent of this in the past. That's me talking. Maryland Joint Evaluation Meeting for the Marina. On September 24th, I went to Annapolis and met with 16 officials from the Corps of Engineers, the Department of Environment, to Maryland DNR, Maryland Historic Trust, who do an evaluation of our intended goals to dredge the marina, intended goals to add 70 or so feet to the piers, all those things, and to actually fill the site. It went very well. The meetings are an hour long, and we were well represented by Macrone's engineer, Perry Otwell. We got all the issues on the table that there were. I asked them specifically about raising the land and around where it floods right now, and the issue of extending the piers, which got us into an issue about the channel. They talked about moorings, and we talked about everything actually in that 1 hour. So they told us our window for dredging ends February 15th. You can't dredge after February 15th. So we are actually trying very hard to get our dredging permits in. You have to give them a spoil site and all that. So a lot's been done in that respect. And I'm sure that Chris has more to say about that later. But you have to have that. And in fact, when we first dredged the waterfront in 1984, there was no such thing, but I think it's a really good idea because it keeps an agency from coming out of nowhere saying, hey, I wasn't there, you can't do this. Fisheries was there, all those others. Santa's House, volunteer work. I sent everybody a photograph of the college Habitat for Humanity. Kids working hard this weekend. Jay Yerkes and his son working really hard. We took Santa's House apart and we're putting it back together, and it really needed it. The Habitat kids came to work on the house in March, and they took the front off, and the thing just really racked because of the way it was put together. It was a modular kind of construction, but we braced it up, and it's really looking great. We have interior work to do next, and kids are excited about coming back, and I want to thank that college program is really great. I think they intend to build a house on campus next year. They were asking me what kind of permits they needed for that. It's going to be built and shipped out to help some cause somewhere. But they had a lot of energy, and you saw the pictures. A lot got done.
Santa never had it so good.
Yeah. The next thing I have is it's kind of sad to me, but it's good for her. I have a letter here from Pat Diver, and you may have sort of heard a rumor around the streets that after 16 and a half years, she and her husband are thinking about, or they're planning on moving to Florida. So she writes to the council, I'm writing to notify you that I will be retiring from my position as financial director. My last day will be January 30th, 2015. Although I've enjoyed my 16 plus years with the town, it is time for me to move with my husband to Florida, which has been our dream for years. During this time period, I will be happy to assist in identifying an individual for my position and spend whatever time necessary to familiarize my replacement with financial operating procedures of the town. Please accept my deepest gratitude for all everyone has done for me during my tenure. The assistance and guidance from Bill Ingersoll and colleagues has made my job both stimulating and enjoyable. Thank you so much for allowing me to serve the mayor and council. And the citizens of Chestertown, I will truly miss everyone. Pat Diver.
Oh boy.
So we have been working on an ad. We pulled out the 1998 ad, and there's so much more that we do now that we didn't do then in the way of accounting and computers and IT, that we rewrote the ad, and it's going out tomorrow. So our process will be, we advertise for about a month, far and wide. And then I plan to have the council interview the last 3 to 5 people, probably in early December, depending. It would be up to you as to how many you want to interview. But I think we'll get some pretty good candidates. Anybody who wants to look at the ad is definitely welcome to. I think I've covered everything.
When you say far and wide, how how far, are you doing a national campaign or regional?
Not national, but we'll put it in an email and marketplace, the Upper Eastern Shore, and the Delaware papers. So,
Baltimore?
well, email and marketplace
Does that go?
just covers a tremendous area. People wait on that. We found with
Okay.
all our other bids that when we place them there. But any suggestions on where the ad might go? Oh, Maryland Municipal League magazine and their
sure.
website. There are people who are already doing that elsewhere. It's important to say that municipal things are a little bit different than other types of accounting.
Right.
They're not totally different anymore because of Gatsby, but they are different. And you know, Pat's been just wonderful. She is no nonsense, always has been. We stole her from the college, sorry, Joe. She was working there, and when she came here, she said, look, I'm only going to work here for 5 years. And I said, will you guarantee me 5 years? Because we thought our accountant and bookkeeper before that was very, very good. She said, oh, all right, I'll give you 5 years. And it turned out to be 16 and a half, so we must have done something right. So, and I think, I'm sure you're going to want to do something for her. And we'll let you decide that once you get over the shock of her not being here anymore. So, last but not least, I want to request, I want to request someone to ask for an executive session by reading this. Who would like to do that?
Can I do it?
I think the motion should be made by a council person.
What is
It's
it I'm reading?
basically what I just said. It's for 2 items, and they're checked, and that description on the second page.
You have to read this.
See if we can't get this right.
Okay, under 10-508 of the annotated code of the state of Maryland, I request an executive session following this meeting to deal with the following issues: to consider the acquisition of real property for a public purpose and matters directly related thereto, and secondly, to consult with staff, consultant, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. Do I read the second page too?
You would read those 2 items that are checked, 3 of them. The top of the second page. Yep.
Yes, okay. And the first item is that is the acquisition of a building, is the possible acquisition of a police building site. And then secondly, the second part is to discuss a letter received by the town that threatens litigation.
And I might add, if you hand me that, I'll just add the citations are 3-305B3 and 3-305B8. Bingo.
All right.
All right, do you think we're covered?
Yes.
Well, I read it, I can't move that we, did I make a motion by reading the thing?
Yes, you did.
So somebody
I made a
needs,
motion, we need a second.
There's a place for a signature. Do you sign it?
do I sign?
It goes to her, she'll write the council person who made the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
All right.
Any opposed? Sweet, we get to stay even later for an executive session. All right. Anything else, Bill?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, that brings us to the mayor's report. My first order of business is we have a permit request from the Lions Club for a Halloween parade. I'll just read you a few of the details. The Lions Club would like to hold their annual Halloween parade on Saturday, November 1st. The parade begins at 10 a.m. and runs from Dixon Drive down High Street. They are requesting permission to use the town stage, and they'd also like to serve refreshments at Fountain Park after the parade. They will work out the details with Chief Baker and the Chestertown Police Department. The rain date would be Sunday, November 2nd, the following day at 3 p.m.
We're going to serve refreshments, the farmer's market will be going on.
That's a good question.
Anyway, I'll leave that to somebody else to worry about.
What are you talking about? Where the stage is?
No, they said they wanted to, well, usually the stage is set up there at the corner of Golf.
Yeah, it's further down.
But they said they wanted to serve refreshments at Fountain Park afterwards. But the farmer's market would still be going on.
They may have to move
There's
to
plenty of room
Memorial
for
Park.
refreshments.
I don't know what they're considering.
Somebody might ask them if they'd be willing to do it in Memorial Park.
That's what I
Would
was-
that be a willing?
Yeah, it would be closer to the reviewing center.
Review stand? and-
Right.
I don't think it's going to be a great big.
They're very,
Okay.
they're very.
There's always, opposition to having anything in Memorial Park because people walking through Memorial Park. There's plenty of room in Fountain Park.
Okay. I think we can work out that,
All right.
those details. But can we sign this? This is something that's happened for years and years.
I move we grant them the
We're
permit.
judging,
Yeah.
so.
I'm in the parade and I am judging.
You're in the parade and judging? Isn't that a conflict of
Apparently
interest?
I am. Well,
Did you sign it?
I'm just, am I the, who signs
I
this?
signed it, I've already signed it, it's a notification. You're just telling everybody.
Okay,
what the
it's
law
done.
is. Yeah.
Secondly, this is kind of neat. Some of you may have noticed we've been doubling the width of the brick sidewalk on the High Street side of Fountain Park. This is part of a bigger plan to restore the condition of the park to where we want it to be. And the hope is that by doubling that width of that sidewalk, there'll be room for some of the craft vendors to be there instead of on the grass. And then once that's done, we have plans to re-sod. And the garden club has actually great plans to put some new gardens in that area. And we kind of alluded to the fact that at one of our meetings that donations would be appreciated. So the Lions Club has stepped up to the plate with a $1,000 donation to help underwrite the costs of the sidewalk widening in particular. And for their donation, they'll be getting a plaque that will be placed in the brick walkway. So actually tomorrow at noon, after much back and forth, there'll be a photo opportunity where I'm basically just going to shake their hands. And if you guys could be there, that would be great. Tomorrow at noon. I think some garden club members are going to be there as well. And if anybody else wants to make a $1,000 donation, there's a lot of room for more plaques on that sidewalk. It's pretty long and now very wide, so keep that in mind. Apparently, I need to read an official statement regarding the open meetings opinion of September 29th, so I'll do that. I need to read to this black line. Is that correct?
Yep.
Procedures for public bodies found by the Compliance Board to have violated the Open Meetings Act, State Government Article 10-502.5. At the next open meeting of the public body, after the board has issued its opinion, a member of the public body shall announce the violation and orally summarize the opinion, which is what I'm about to do now. The opinion addressed the allegations of Craig O'Donnell, complainant, that the town of Chestertown violated the Open Meetings Act by meeting in closed sessions without making the disclosures required by the act and without confining the discussion to the matters disclosed when the council members voted to close the sessions. The complaints covered all executive sessions from 2009 to June of 2014. Below is the concluding section from the Compliance Board opinion. The board resolved the alleged complaint by addressing the December 16th, 2013 and June 16th, 2024 meetings, not responding to the allegations of 2009 to December 2013. And then here's the decision. With regard to the council's closed sessions in December 2013 and June 2014, we have found that the council violated the act by claiming an exception that did not apply to the discussion that it held behind closed doors and by addressing in that closed session topics to which no exception applied. End of public summary. So hopefully that will resolve that issue. We had a wonderful addition, I believe, to our annual list of cool things that happened in Chestertown on the weekend of September 26th and September 27th. If you weren't there, you missed kind of an eccentric and cool little festival, the Harry Potter Festival. It was put together, the brainchild came from Dr. Rachel Perry Panis, who is an eye doctor in town. And she came to me last winter with this idea, and I have to admit, I thought it was just crazy enough that it was either going to be a huge success or a huge failure, and it turned out to be, it really brought a lot of people to town. I was present at the opening party at the Garfield Center on Friday, and it was packed, standing room only crowd with people spilling up into the balcony with a ton of kids there, which was really, really neat. And then on Saturday, they put together a really neat brochure, and basically a big part of the activity was that participants would take the brochure and go to 16 different businesses. Each business had a clue that unlocked this decoded message about who stole some of the wizard's magic stuff, and I'm not really a Potterite, so. But the result was that I had store owners literally say, I had 300, 400 people come through my store on Saturday alone, which were numbers that they hadn't seen in a long time. And so it was really kind of amazing for a first-year festival to have that kind of a turnout, and for the way that they designed it, I thought was very clever, to not only bring people to town for fun, but to also to bring them into the shops. And I think the result was a really fun day, but also a profitable day for our vendors. And man, if we could have 4 to 6 more events like that strategically placed throughout the year, it would be a really great thing, I think, for our downtown retail in particular. So kudos to everybody that was involved with putting that event together. Like Sabine was saying, those events don't happen on their own. It took a ton of work. Those folks were meeting in committees for months prior to that. And this could really, I think, has potential to explode. I mean, it's a big deal. It's kind of like Trekkies used to be in the 70s. These people look for these little things, and we're just kind of an eclectic enough town to pull it off. And I think the people that came were very pleased, and a lot of people were saying they were going to come back. So kudos to everyone involved.
I happened to be riding my bike through town, and I saw all these kids with capes and hats and buns, and they were all over the place. And a kid doesn't come by himself, so he's got an adult next to him someplace, so it really was a great draw. So.
Another thing that was really neat, a lot of the businesses stepped up and participated and decorated their stores, and I don't want to single out anybody, but I have to say People's Bank went so far above and beyond the Call of Duty. It's like a little amusement park in there, and but there were dozens of businesses that did that, and I think they got the payback, and it was kind of a risk for them because it was a first-year festival, and they weren't sure if they were going to get a return on their time and effort, but I think it kind of shows what you can do when everybody's on board, swimming in the same direction.
It also makes you recognize that E.K. Rollins is now richer than the Queen of England.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
More money than
I can see why. She has a very devoted group of followers.
She surpassed the Queen.
Wow.
I'm going to move ahead to the last item and then come back to the marina. The Winterfest weekend, I've been quietly kind of emailing all the people that said they were going to do something for our Winterfest weekend, which is hopefully going to be a new tradition in town. It's things that we've actually been doing individually for years, but we're trying to market these events collectively. And the weekend is the first weekend of December, the 5th, 6th, and 7th. And I have a model itinerary here, the current itinerary as it stands, which hopefully you'll agree is a neat slate of offerings. I'll just go through it really, really quickly, and I do have extra copies for folks in the audience. But on Friday, December 5th, which happens to be First Fridays, there's going to be a toy train and model exhibit at the Kent County Public Library from 4 to 8 p.m. It is First Fridays, so we'll already have businesses open later than normal. We're going to start a new tradition called a community candlelighting ceremony, where we're all going to meet in Fountain Park and light 308 candles, one to celebrate each year of the town's existence. Doesn't that sound like a cool idea? We're going to say a few words about the town and kind of bless the town for the holiday season. And then those candles will be used to light luminaries that will be set up all along the commercial part of the historic district. Kent School has agreed to come as part of that ceremony and sing a couple of holiday tunes. And then afterwards, they do this every year, they walk from business to business for a couple of hours and basically go caroling inside the businesses. The Historical Society has agreed to step up and do ghost walks in Chestertown, meeting at the Getty's Piper House. The Garfield will have their annual holiday show that evening at 7. And of course, the Chester River Chorale will have their holiday concert. And where is the venue for that again?
Well, I assume it's the Presbyterian Church.
The Presbyterian Church, which is on 213, just on the outskirts of town. On Saturday the 6th, we have, as always, the Farmers Market from 8 to 12. I'm arranging to have live music from 10 to 2. The groups that have agreed to perform are the Garnett Elementary School Choir. Press Harding has a little duo that he plays holiday music with. The Kent County Community Marching Band Ensemble will be playing, and the dynamic mayor of Chestertown, Chris Serena, will add a small set. Santa's Workshop will be set up that morning from 11 to 1, The garden club will be doing colonial crafts, make it and take it wreaths out of greens. They'll be doing that in Emmanuel Church. River Arts will be doing colonial crafts from 9:30 to 1:30 for anybody for free. And then from 2 to 4, they'll have a ticketed event for an older crowd. They can take their things home with them. There's a gingerbread cookie workshop at the Garfield Center from 1 to 2. There's Chester River Chorale Holiday Concert, show number 2 at 1 o'clock. Colonial Puppet Show at a venue to be announced at 11. Holiday Stories at the Book Plate at noon. A Colonial House Tour. This is actually one of the key elements that got this idea going. Is this Colonial House Tour is organized by Garnett Elementary and the middle school, and it's from 12 to 3 in houses around downtown, and all the proceeds benefit those 2 schools. So one of the reasons we wanted to build this weekend up is to help them raise more money to help the kids of our community. Bob Ortiz has agreed to do a musical performance at the GAR building from 4 to 5:30 p.m. More Ghost Walks in Chestertown from 5 to 8. And the Garfield Holiday Show, a second running on Saturday at 7. And then Sunday, another round of the Garfield Holiday Show at 3 o'clock. And the Eastern Shore Wind Ensemble is doing a show at 4 o'clock. So a nice little slate of events. If anybody's out there that heard this and wants to do something, you better tell me soon, because I'm going to be making little one-page flyers and getting the word out, and I'd love to include you, but you have to come talk to me. So hopefully that'll be another growing weekend where we can celebrate everything that makes us special. Lastly is the marina update. I've been working with Bill. I think we're at the point at our last meeting where we publicly endorsed the current marina design, and so Bill and I have really been pushing Macrone, in particular, our engineers, to now give us as ballpark, as specific as they can, price estimates on the various components of this marina. And as soon as I get those figures, I really believe that we need to, this year, approach the governor's office, their chief of staff, our Eastern Shore delegation, and try to get this to be a line item in the state's capital budget. That process is going on right now. We're actually behind the 8 ball to get in this year, but we need to let them know that we are in that line and knocking on the door, and we need X amount, and can they help us? We also will be applying for grants to fund specific elements of the marina, but I think if it's me, I think we need to go for, it's going to be into the 7 figures to do what we need to do down there, and I think we need to go directly to the top and ask if they'll invest in Chestertown as a gateway to, a $40 million a year industry here in the county, as a gateway into one of the premier waterfront towns on the Eastern Shore. And so I'm basically letting you guys know that that's what I'd like to do, so that if I do get an appointment with the governor's chief of staff, that you're not hearing it from somebody else or through the grapevine, because I think that's something that we need to do, and we need to do it like now. We actually needed to do it a couple weeks ago. And I have to say, I don't want to make a resolution or anything, but if we're unsuccessful, we may need to consider maybe hiring a lobbyist. When people go and ask for big amounts of money like this, you really need a constant presence in these people's offices, knocking on their doors. And as much as I'd love to be that person, we all know that we don't make a ton of money doing this, and I can't do that. I'm going to do as much as I can this fall, and we'll see where the chips fall, but I think that's a strategy that we need to consider, if not this year, then maybe next year.
I had something, I was going to wait until it come to my ward thing, but I think it's more apropos now. I was looking at the down rigging weekend brochure that came in the mail to my house, and I opened it up to the Port of Chestertown, and I thought, damn, that has a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
I would like the council to consider, and you certainly don't have to make that decision tonight, to change the name of our marina to the Port of Chestertown Marina for 2 reasons. It signifies a destination, and it also lets everybody know that it's a new marina. It's not the same old Chestertown Marina. It's the Port of Chestertown Marina, and it's owned by the town of Chestertown. But I think, to try and convey that this is a regular marina that you stop off on your way to visit Crumpton, or Well, the Millington or wherever you're going. I'd like to see a boat go up there. They'd have to walk through the mud flats, but I think it would be a good move, and I thought about bringing it up tonight because we're talking about doing some signing and so forth, and if we do change the name, then we ought to have the right name on there. But I think the Port of Chestertown Marina would let people know, again, as I said, we have new ownership, and this is a little bit different than a normal marina. It's a place to go to visit and see what's going on. So you might just consider that. And
Sure.
I'll pass this. Did everybody get one of these in the mail?
got several, yeah.
It caught my eye right away. That kind of sounds neat, so you might think about it.
Again, I want to reiterate, I think, I want to go ahead and say this in public because I don't want anybody to be surprised, but when you add up the cost of the dredging and new docks and filling the grade and a new store, it's going to be in the 7 figures. It might be $3 to $5 million depending on the choices that we make. I see the pens going over there. But it's going to be a 7-figure number, and we can either do it by piecemealing little grants that take care of one piece of the puzzle. But I also think we should try a macro strategy as well of, hey, look, we need you to invest in us, and this is what we need, and see what they say. So that's what I would like to do, like very, very soon. And that's really all I have to say about that, but I just wanted to give everyone a heads up on what I'm thinking and what I'd like to do in the near future. And in the meantime, we'll continue to squeeze Perry Otwell's arm and get those figures out there. But we actually already had some idea of where we think we're going to fall because DNR gave us very ballpark figures several years ago before we did charrettes and everything and made more concrete decisions. So that's it for me. So let's go to board reports. So why don't we start with you, Liz Gross?
Thank you. I don't have a lot to report. About 10 days ago, I rode patrol with Officer Michelle Leone on a Friday evening, and we were a lot busier than I expected. I always thought we rolled up our carpets in Chestertown. It was a busy evening, including that major drug raid on
Were you
South
College?
I was. We were there.
Wow.
And I came away with, as I expected to do, with a whole lot more understanding and admiration for our police force. And I will plan to do that again periodically. I want to thank the utilities staff for responding very quickly to some kind of a water main or sewer break on High Street, which a resident down there alerted me to, and I don't know quite what the problem was, but it has been repaired, and then I gather will be paved once the fill has settled down. And lastly, we had major flooding this week, and on the way here to this meeting, I thought, I'm just going to run down the bottom of High Street and across over the bottom of Cannon Street, and the flooding for the 3rd or 4th day in a row was almost as high as I've ever seen it. There were geese and ducks swimming over the dock at the bottom of High Street, and the water is right up over that big medallion that we put down there for the 300th anniversary. So it's the harbinger of things to come, people.
And Liz, there's been tides like that half a dozen times this year.
Right.
Because I'm down there
And what is
almost
it?
every day.
I mean, it's been every day since
Yeah.
Friday I saw it. I mean, it might have been the day before. And you would need at least hip waders to get onto some of the docks tonight. So I just want to keep that issue in front of you.
Accommodation, there's a full moon right now.
It is a
There's
big full
strong
moon.
southerly winds.
Yep.
When you get those two things, it floods every
And
time.
pretty soon we're just going to get them on every full moon.
Yeah.
So that's it for me. No big issues.
Except flooding.
The
No big
geese
issue.
were lined up. The house that's alongside of the bridge, coming this way, that house on the right,
John Hudson's.
they were just lined up along the seawall there, just
Oh, yeah.
waiting till I moved back. Anyway, I too want to thank all the merchants and especially People's Bank for their participation in the Harry Potter Festival. It was like, there were kids all over the place, and I think everybody really had a good time. I've had questions about the visitor center. Is it open on Saturday, especially when we have events like the Harry Potter Festival? Had
9 to 5.
complaints?
9 to 5.
Well, I don't know what's happening because I've had complaints that it's not open, and that's the only place that there are restrooms.
Well, it's definitely open. I asked Harry Potter, I asked Rachel, would you like us to keep it open longer, like till 6 or whatever? And then she said 5 is okay. But I'm not always sure that, I don't know how many people are there, but don't they close sometimes at 4 if nobody's come in?
They do, yeah.
So, well, let's find
I'll have to
out,
look
we'll
up
find
the
out when
date.
they close. But for special events, we'd like people to tell us, hey, we think we're gonna need you open. Or if we think, we can give you counts for every hour of whether people are still coming
But
in.
is it
from Florida.
open, is it supposed to be open routinely? I mean,
Yeah.
I'd be happy to check when I
It's
come down to
open.
farmer's
It's
market.
open.
Because I usually
Yeah,
park
so
along
they
there.
probably open at 10?
No, they've been opening at 9 because the farmer's market complained that there weren't any restrooms. So
Okay,
they've been
so we-
opening
Yeah,
at
that's
9.
basically what's...
So, well, 9 to 5.
So it's
but
9
let's
to
make sure
5.
that they're not assuming that, well, I don't know how they could have assumed that on Harry Potter Saturday. There are a lot of people, but maybe they're going in and out of the stores downtown.
It could be too that there are no directional signs, or people, really don't think to like walk all the way up here.
We keep pretty good records over there. But we
Yeah, I'll see how many people
we
there
don't
were.
mind answering your questions.
Okay, and this is just a beginning stage, but Owen in the farmer's market wants to resurrect the farmer's market t-shirt. And we were talking and maybe have a contest. This is just preliminary. Have a contest for the design, and we were going to talk about, were we going to limit it to certain ages? What will the rules of the contest be? And this would kind of be like, maybe after the first year when, things slow down a little bit, like, we get finished Thanksgiving and Christmas and maybe in January, and just put this out. So that's just the beginning
Fun.
of that, to have a contest. And that's, oh, wait a minute. Kent County Reads has begun at Garnett Elementary School, and I have a folder, and they're still asking for volunteers for Kent County Reads. And you can contact anyone at Garnett. Actually, it's Carmen Parks, who is in charge of Kent County Reads at Garnett Elementary School. And it's cparks@kent.k12.md.us. Did I say K Parks? I meant C Parks.
You said C.
Oh, I did say. And they're still looking for volunteers in the reading program.
Are the farmer's market bags being printed? Do we know what happened about that?
Did you send a check?
Yeah, oh, the check's been sent.
Oh,
Sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was
thought
away
you wanted
this
me to print
past
'em.
weekend, so I'll have to check this weekend.
Okay, I just wondered what happened.
Well, they're coming. That's the end of my report.
All right, Sam, Ward 3.
Yes, I have a quick thing to read. This is from Alex Castro, director of Sandbox. There will be an event on campus in the Cole Gallery, and he says the following. On Thursday, October 16, the Cole Gallery at Washington College, in collaboration with the college's Black Studies program and the Charles Sumner Post 25, will open Raw Nerves, Homage and Vocation, the art of Warren Lyons and Jeffrey Kent. The contrasting works of these two contemporary African-American artists draw our attention to not only the history of the racial political and economic divide with which we still struggle, but also to the unfulfilled promise of a nation straining to overcome disparity. The exhibition contains 6 4x6-foot portraits by Warren Lyons of those African American figures who have led the way towards hopeful equality, and 8 works, both paintings and sculpture, by Baltimore artist Jeffrey Kent. The exhibition is free and open to all. The gallery is hoping for a truly inclusive turnout for the opening 5 to 7 in Cole Gallery at the college. And again, this event is on October the 16th. So I hope you all and those who are listening can attend. Also, in just some general observations driving around town, and Marty, this is your ward, so you might appreciate this as well. The concrete divide along Washington Avenue is quite unsightly. It's dividing, of course, the two lanes passing right through the intersection of Washington Avenue and Mortneck Road. And
Which side? Because mine's on one side and yours is on the other.
Right, right. It's either overgrown with weeds, but it's actually been sprayed recently, so all those weeds are dead. But it just seems to be a major congregation for cigarette butts. So I guess people, as soon as they're pulled up on the intersection and they're smoking, they just toss it right out of the window. So when the street sweeper comes, of course, it does a good job at sucking everything up. But in between, it is just absolutely atrocious. So I don't know what our policy is on littering. Surely cigarette butts count as littering when people just toss it casually out their window. But I certainly would like to see that intersection improved with something a little more visible, more aesthetic. Especially with the roundabout.
I actually sent an email to the district engineer today about the way from the rescue squad to Talbot Boulevard that they don't mow the road there in front of Helping Vines Funeral Home, and I just don't understand why. And he's a new district engineer, very nice. He was contacted by Nancy Butler about the weeds that grow up around the divider. And they did poison, but I seen new life in some. You'd think that the lit cigarette would set them on fire and maybe the dead bush would be gone, but that never seems to work out. It does need some attention. It should be either poison or weed whack, along that by state employees.
Right.
But it's not something that I think they're going to like our people on.
Well, see, I mean, we keep talking about gateways, and I mean, we have the roundabout, and that's going to look extremely nice once they put all the planters and things like that in it. So you come through this nice gateway down 20, but then you have this really just unsightly, just concrete divide right when you get to that main intersection. And I see what other towns are doing, and they either put grass, they put some trees, they put flower beds, things like that, something to spruce it up, because that is probably one of the biggest gateways that we have into town, and especially with the development that's going to happen in Kent Plaza. It will be nice for all of that to come together pretty nicely. So,
well, I'll start out by offering that we take our new street sweeper along there and see if it will remove the dead grass.
The dead, yeah.
Get their permission to do it, and also encourage your awareness of it. I think will definitely bring more attention to it than the single note that they got before. But I'm like you. It's a double gateway, and you would think that they keep the epoxy on the. They painted the island brick colored in the past, and you just think it can look a lot better. It's also the gateway to the college both ways.
And I mean, we have a lot of real estate to work with too. I mean, that road is so wide. But I would really love to see them spruce it up a little bit.
There's a nice display of tulips there every spring, really tall pink tulips. And then they die, and they're there all bedraggled and awful for a few weeks. And then there's nothing else except weeds that comes up for the rest of the summer, fall.
Well, before the tulips,
come up
they
from the
had
bulb, you
Of
know,
course they do, somebody
Too
put them
high.
there.
Yeah.
and you couldn't see around them.
Anyway, I think when they respond to why they don't know 291, I'll ask them,
next question. Okay, that sounds
Good.
perfect. But,
Anything else, Sam?
No, that's it for me.
All right, Marty.
Well, the benches for Bailey Park, there's 3 of them for the walking trail. They're in. I met with Tom today, and we set out the location I think is best for them. At the top of, there's 3 small hills out there, and I figure a bench at the top of the hill where people can rest if they get
Okay.
tired down walking out. And this last one, I'm going to talk right to the camera.
Which
I have Atlantic broadband. I'm not cable, so I can watch the Oriole games. I've said this before, the best thing those people do is raise rates. I was watching the playoffs, and every 2 or 3 minutes comes on, they've detected an interruption to my service.
Don't you hate that?
The reason I'm talking to the camera, because I'm hoping they're looking at it. I called on the phone, and all you get is a push this button, push that button, or you listen to some music. So if this is going right to them.
This main line is, I'm telling you.
I wouldn't be so upset, but at
They're
the
waiting
same
for this.
time, I got a bill where they raised my rate $10 a month. So now I'm paying $90 a month to watch. There's a detection in your service.
We have detected an interruption in
There's
your
got to be a
service.
better way to watch it.
No kidding.
I don't watch anything but football and baseball on TV.
really gonna
If I
upset
could
'em
get it
there.
without going through with, they'd have
Yeah,
no
broadband.
fun about it. And
Why don't we have
I
any,
hope they look at these things.
I'm sure they watch it.
I'm sure they're waiting with bated breath to watch our meeting.
Well, you can't get them on the phone,
I know
try
you
it.
can't. I've given up with frustration.
Okay, are there any questions or comments from the audience?
You're gonna put in another.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn the regular
So
meeting?
moved.
Second on the floor, anybody?
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the regular meeting is adjourned.
All the benches there.